Hey everybody, hope you're doing well today. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the problems that you can run across when you run and own an Airbnb. Now, during the COVID time frame, a lot of people were shut in their house, they couldn't travel. So once those restrictions opened up, what ended up happening is that there was a huge demand for travel. So with the restrictions still in place in terms of how many people could gather together, the crowds, the 6-foot distance, whatnot, Airbnbs and VRBOs are a great alternative to the hotels where you're going to be congregating with a bunch of other people. Instead, with an Airbnb, you can go find yourself an individual apartment, an individual home, rent it out, do your vacation stuff over there, and go home. There was also a lot of free money passed around during this time, COVID, in order to prevent a recession from coming. With all that free money banked up, a lot of people are ready and eager to travel. And so then the short-term rentals basically went straight up. And with that, a lot of investors dove in thinking it's going to be easy money, when in fact it's a little more difficult than that, as these examples show. Here are 5 examples of how short-term rentals, Airbnb or VRBO, are not all they cracked up to be. In this first case over here, renting to Jason Bourne ends up in a wild party being thrown. For those of you who don't know who Jason Bourne is, take a look at imdb.com, check out the movie, and you will quickly understand that this is actually not a real person, but in fact a fake name that was used to sign up for this Airbnb. How the Airbnb approved that, how that person got their fake name in there, I do not know. I'm not familiar with their systems enough. Clearly there's not proper vetting for the short-term tenants who are going to come into these properties, so there is always a risk that you just get the one bad person, one wrong group, and suddenly your investment is destroyed. So as noted here, some partygoers stole items from the home and left the place trashed. Basically, this person said it was a local family gathering, but instead it ended up being a huge party with a lot of stuff stolen, a lot of stuff damaged. The owner themselves, 2,600 miles away from this home, so not the ideal situation. They couldn't really check out things if they need to, and as we'll see here soon, when the police came, they couldn't verify who the owner was, so they just issued a citation and let everything go on as planned.
Dozens of strangers partying inside your home, and some stealing your stuff. And there's nothing you can do to stop them. That's what happened to Charlie Brim when he rented his home on Airbnb.
Obviously, everybody's having a great time drinking my liquor.
He thought he was renting to a nice family while he was on a trip to Boston. But a neighbor texted him that there was a loud party going on. He checked his security cameras, and this is what he saw 2,600 miles away at his home in Tempe, Arizona.
So this person rented out his individual home while he was out of town, hoping that it would be an easy way to make money, but obviously, as we see here, it turned out to be far from it. He had personal belongings stolen, items in and around his house trashed, so overall, quite a bit of mess.
He texted the renter, "What's going on at my home?" The reply, "It's a little family get-together. It's not a party." Charlie asked the police to shut the party down.
Family get-together. Okay, that's quite the family get-together. Must be a huge family there. The fact that they were trashing the place, stealing stuff, was obviously a little more than the short-term tenant intended to be.
All they could do was issue a citation.
I'll have to write a citation. Yeah.
So the party eventually cleared out at 2:30 a.m. As you can see here, it's a lot of trash. Things spilled on the floor, broken bottles, damaged pool table, damaged rugs, things torn around, clothes stolen. Overall, a not great situation to come to. So now when it comes to long-term rentals, it's easier to vet a proper tenant, do a thorough background check, get them in, they stay long-term. Generally, you're going to be fine as long as you go through the proper checks. Now when it comes to short-term tenants, there's a lot of people rotating in and out very quickly, making sure all those tenants are up to par. They're not going to trash a property. They're not going to invite 100 people over for a party when the house only fits at most 5 to 10 people. That's one of the biggest risks with these short-term rental properties. In this second case, we're going to look at a common scam involved with Airbnbs and some of these other short-term rental companies, is that the tenant will check in and then they will claim that they were never able to check in, or they had issues getting into the house because there were some issues with the locks, the codes didn't work, whatnot. So they end up staying in there, but they make the claim to Airbnb or VRBO that they weren't able to stay, and they get a refund for their stay, but then they're able to stay the entire time that they're there. The owner can't really do anything to alleviate that situation. And as we see in the case of this lady, they caused some damage, basically got her Airbnb shut down, so she's not making income. So in the end, it's clearly 1 month worth of hell versus trying to make some money on a short-term rental, which, as we see through these videos, it's not that great of an investment.
Get an Airbnb, they said. You will make money, they said. No, you actually won't. You know why? Because you're going to have dumb-ass people that end up staying there. Tell me why I had this guest that stayed and then literally lied to Airbnb, said that they didn't stay. So they got to stay for free. They got everything reimbursed. Not only that, they stole a bunch of shit. Like, they literally stole a bunch of shit. And then they gave a bunch of 1-star reviews, and because of that, my Airbnb was blocked for the whole month of July. And, like, not because of that, I can't even pay the rent for it because it was blocked. And then when I called Airbnb back and forth multiple times, they never solved my problem. They said they'd call back in 15 minutes, and then they wouldn't. So, yeah, if you're going to make one, just be wary of that.
So as many Airbnb hosts can attest, there have been issues when dealing with Airbnb customer support. Even on the tenant side, when there's complaints against the Airbnb owner, they're always kind of hands-off, even though they have these supposed programs to guarantee the owners, make sure things are paid for if there's damage, or make sure that tenants are banned from the platform if there's issues. And vice versa, they'll ban hosts if they're causing issues for the tenants. As we see in these cases, it's not all cut and dry. There's still a lot of issues. There's still a lot of problems happening. And so it's not a great investment. Let's take a look at this third case where a short-term rental tenant ended up keeping their newly born puppies in a short-term rental in order to conduct sales, but left the place trashed, and the owner was pretty unhappy considering how much they had to clean up. So the article starts, Airbnb cottage near Inverness trashed by puppy seller. So this is from Scotland. An Airbnb owner was left horrified after discovering her Highlands property had been trashed by a puppy seller over the course of 3 days. So there were 14 puppies in this house. The place was covered with dog feces and rubbish. And the only way she learned about this is through an alert from her neighbor. Here's some pictures of the damage. Trash left around. So the guest was suspended by Airbnb, but not a lot of help if Airbnb is not willing to reimburse this owner for the damages they have to repair. Dirty crates left around there. Looks like some mirrors torn off the walls. Trash left in and around the house. That's obviously going to be a lot to clean up. Big mess. Nobody really wants to be dealing with that. Looks like medications used for puppies. The syringes left in and around the house. So the type of deep cleaning required to clean out of that mess is definitely going to cost quite a bit for this owner. So if there's damage to the carpets, yes, you can try and deep clean those carpets, steam clean those rugs, carpets, whatnot. Chances are that if the puppies were urinating on those rugs, it's soaked in, got it into the pads underneath, so you might have to tear out those carpets and put in new, which can be pretty expensive. In this case, the owner notes that it'll be a couple weeks before she can host again. Obviously, there's a lot of repair work to do, a lot of cleanup to do. And it doesn't mention if Airbnb was going to reimburse them for this guest's damage to the property, nor if the guests themselves are going to pay for the damage. As mentioned, it can be quite expensive. This person was trying to sell puppies, whether they have the money or not to reimburse the owner. That's another question. Don't count on it. In a lot of cases, what ends up happening is the owner is going to have to sue for these damages, and whether the costs justify the amount that they'll win from the lawsuit, that's another story. Legal fees can be expensive, and it might not make sense to sue in order to recover the amount of money that the tenant owes to the owner. Here's another case of an owner who rented out his property, the property he lives in, to a short-term renter and ends up getting a total trash property when he comes back. Something that sucks if you're the owner and you've got to come back to that property, you're going to live in it. But let's take a look at everything that was done over here and see what damage was caused.
My house out on Airbnb, and this is what happened. Cleaned up in January, got a same-day booking request. I was super excited because I actually needed the money, but this is what happened. You can see they started damaging a lot of stuff, took some of my cushions, threw my router down, my home security, and my Amazon Alexa, broke my TV screen, punched holes in the walls, broke my shelf, broke my table, bought a new one, and chairs. As you can see, there's still tags on them. Ruined all the carpet, stole my comforter, replaced my sheets, broke my shower caddy, and poured bleach down this tub, and I just got this refinished and I have to redo it all over again. Poked hella holes into my doors, scratched up my walls, got blood on the carpet, so I have to replace that as well. Took all my towels and sheets for each bedroom. Broke more than half my glasses, more than half my coffee mugs, and my wine glasses, and then bought these and replaced them. Broke my cabinet. Put random ass food in here. Dumped bags of cake. Yes, bags of cake in here and open food. And guess what? More cake. Stole half my silverware. Where's that? Pots and pans also gone. Threw bones and a lot of other stuff down the sink. And guess what? Now there's water that stopped up here, so I have to call a plumber.
So this owner is going to face a quite hefty bill when it comes to cleaning up and repairs, damage to the walls, stolen items, towels, comforters. Considering the blood on the carpet, my guess is the towels and the comforters were pretty trashed as well too. So these tenants probably weren't necessarily stealing them. They just figured they're beyond saving. Let's just throw everything out. It seems like they made an attempt to replace some of the things that were damaged. It probably was a party considering the amount of cake that was found in the trash. So it was a party, things got out of hand, figured, hey, let's replace a few things, a few chairs, but obviously did not replace enough of what this owner lost, so he's still out a lot. My guess is too, Airbnb is not going to provide him any reimbursement, or if they do, it's going to take a long drawn out process. Meanwhile, this owner has to fix everything himself back into condition that it was originally in. So it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. It's not a fun thing to do. And then this final way to destroy your short-term investment is this case from San Francisco that involved a shooting where somebody was killed in a short-term rental. So let's take a look. In this case, a judge ruled that Airbnb can be held liable for the shooting death at an illegal short-term rental. So in this case, the short-term rental was on the Airbnb platform. It was being run illegally. In this particular area, Airbnbs were not allowed. And as a result of a party that happened over there, there was a shooting, and unfortunately a victim had died as a result of the shooting. So they note in the article, in the past, Airbnb was able to dismiss these types of cases, claiming it can't be held liable for such injuries at parties since they can't be foreseen. So in this case, they say the difference is that the fact that the Airbnb violated the local ordinance, which prohibited short-term rentals, they still allowed that short-term rental to go on, then they can be found liable. So now in this case, yes, Airbnb is being found liable, but that doesn't mean the owner is off the hook. The owner obviously can also be held responsible for the shooting. My guess is they're not only suing Airbnb, but they're suing the owner as well. Airbnb has the deeper pocket. They have more money to give if there's a successful judgment. The owner might have set up the house in an LLC. They might not have much money in terms of whatever they did. They invested it all in this Airbnb, which is likely highly leveraged. And so they want to go after the bigger pockets. In this case, Airbnb is the bigger pockets. So running an Airbnb as seen in this case, and having that one tenant who decides, hey, I'm going to throw a party, the party gets violent, shots are fired, somebody gets killed, Airbnb will be sued, but the owner also will be sued too. And if in that case the judgment comes out against the owner, it's going to be pretty expensive, and that owner is going to have that guilt follow them for life that somebody got shot, somebody got killed in one of their units because they thought, hey, let's make some money and see where this goes, but instead it ended up the worst possible for somebody. So as we can see, Airbnb, VRBO, any short-term rental is not all that it's cracked up to be. It can be problematic. You just need one tenant who can totally destroy your investment, from parties that cause a lot of damage to somebody getting killed, somebody trying to sell puppies out of your Airbnb and trashing the place. It's all big mess. It's not good for the owners. It's not good for the local communities. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had any experience with horrible tenants in your Airbnbs? Or do you live next door to an Airbnb and have issues with tenants causing problems for you? Let me know in the comments below. Share your experiences. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.